I was thinking about how we are living through a cultural renaissance of sorts right now with artificial intelligence and machine learning technology, changing everything faster than ever before. And I thought it'd be fun to revisit 3 of my favorite books that were published last year. But they deal with other technologies and innovations that are rapidly changing our world, just like what AI is doing now. He says that there are forces that are actively working against us being able to concentrate for more than a few minutes at a time. And he takes you through the various different ways that these distractions work. It's by Shoshana Zuboff, and it's got nothing to do with AI. They don't have anything to do with AI. But they deal with innovations that are changing our world just like AI is. Now, this is a science fiction novel. But it's not like your typical science fiction novel, because it's based entirely around climate change. And it's got an incredible cast of characters, and you follow them all through the next few decades as the world grapples with the worst effects of climate change. Now, this book was published in 2014, but I'm still including it because I think it's super important. I think everybody who's interested in AI should read this book. This book was published in 2017, but it's still one of my favorite books on AI. Now, this book was published in 2015, but it's still one of my favorite books on AI. What makes this book special is that it's written by one of the leading researchers in AI. Now, this book was published in 2015, but I'm still including it because I think it's super important. He talks about how technology is changing the way that we live, work, and relate to each other. And he covers everything from the rise of artificial intelligence to the potential for genetic engineering. And he does it in such an accessible way that anybody can read this book and understand it. I like this book because it helps you to see the bigger picture of where all of this technology is headed. So this book is called Homo Deus. It's by Yuval Noah Harari, and it was published in 2015. So he gives you this incredible insider look into what's happening behind the scenes and what it takes to build a machine that can learn. And he does it in such an accessible way that anybody can read this book and understand it. And it's really exciting because he walks you through the 5 different paradigms that have dominated the field of machine learning over the past few decades, and then he brings it all together in the idea of the master algorithm, which is this hypothetical, all-powerful learning algorithm that he believes will eventually be discovered. So this book is called The Master Algorithm. It's by Pedro Domingos, and it was published in 2015. And this is another. It's one that everybody who's interested in AI should read. It's by Ajay Agrawal, Joshua Gans, and Avi Goldfarb. Now, this is a business book, but I'm including it because I think it's super relevant for anybody who is interested in AI. They introduce you to the concept of AI advantage, which is the idea that companies can use AI to create a sustainable competitive advantage. And then they walk you through 4 steps that you can take to start taking advantage of AI in your own company. I like this book because it gets away from all of the hype of AI and focuses on the actual business value. So this book is called The AI Advantage. It's by Ajay Agrawal. It's Joshua Gans and Avi Goldfarb, and it was published in 2019. It's super accessible, and it gives you a really good overview of where AI is headed and what that means for us humans. So he covers everything from the future of work to the future of relationships to the future of warfare. And he has this great quote where he says that the real AI revolution won't be when machines start to think like humans, but when they start to think for themselves. And so it's a really interesting look into what AI is going to change in the future. So this book is called Life 3.0. It's by Max Tegmark, and it was published in 2017. He talks about why we might want to be cautious about developing artificial general intelligence and what could happen if we develop something smarter than ourselves. Explores all of these different ideas in such an accessible way. It's a really easy read. So if you're worried about AI, this is a good place to start. So this book is called Superintelligence. It's by Nick Bostrom, and it was published in 2014. Now, this book was published in 2020, but I only read it last year, and it absolutely blew my mind because it's super, super scary. So the reason I'm thanking Brilliant is because they've given me the opportunity to offer you guys a free book. I've teamed up with them to give away 20 copies of each of the books that I've talked about today. All you have to do to enter is go to the website below and sign up for a free account. It literally takes 2 minutes, and then leave a comment below telling me which book you would like to win. That's it. I'll pick 20 random winners and notify you directly through YouTube. It's a wild ride, and I loved it. So if you're a fan of science fiction at all, or even if you're not, I highly recommend this book. It's called The Ministry for the Future. It's edited by Kim Stanley Robinson, and it was released in 2020. But it asks about something else that has completely changed the world that we live in and is continuing to change it. And it's called Weapons of Math Destruction: How Big Data Increases Inequality and Threatens Democracy. It's by Kathy O'Neill. Now, this book was published in 2016, but I'm including it because it's very short and I think everybody should read it. She introduces you to the 4 types of algorithms that are driving inequality in our society today. And she does it in such an accessible way that anybody can read this book and understand it. It will change the way that you think about math. So we tend to think of math as this neutral thing, 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? Like it's just this objective truth. But in reality, the math that we use in our society today is actually designed to increase inequality and keep people in power. And so it's a really eye-opening book. It's called Weapons of Math Destruction. It's by Kathy O'Neill, and it was published in 2016. It's basically the rise of data collection and data surveillance capitalism, which is, companies like Google and Facebook and Amazon collecting every piece of data about you that they possibly can so that they can sell to advertisers. And she talks about how that is fundamentally changing the way that our society operates. And it's got a lot of scary implications for the future. So if you've never heard her talk before, she's a phenomenal speaker and writer. And so this book is called The Age of Surveillance Capitalism. It's by Shoshana Zuboff, and it was released in 2022. It's a super fascinating read, especially if you feel like you can't focus or concentrate. Like for me, one of the things that he talks about is that we actually kind of physically addicted to distraction. It's almost like our brains have been rewired to always be looking for the next hit of dopamine. And so that is something that I'm definitely guilty of, and I think a lot of people are as well. And he gives you some advice about how to sort of get your life back and take control again so that you can focus. So this book is called Stolen Focus. It's by Johann Hari, and it was released in 2022. The first book I want to talk about today is Stolen Focus by Johann Hari. Now, these books don't have anything to do with AI or ML. Now, this isn't a new phenomenon, but he lays out a really compelling argument about how we are living in the era of distraction. The second book that I wanted to talk about today is called The Power of Regret: Why We Regret and How to Make Better Decisions. Now, this book came out last year, and it blew my mind, because I had no idea that the way that regret works in our brain is exactly backwards from the way that we think it works. So I think all of us think that. When we look back on our lives, we regret the things that we didn't do, the missed opportunities. But in reality, the research shows that most of our regrets tend to come from the things that we did do, the decisions that we made. And so it's a really interesting exploration into the way that our brain deals with regret. And if you understand how regret works, you can make better decisions moving forward. And it's such an easy-to-read book. It's very conversational. It's just super fascinating. So this book is called The Power of Regret. It's by Daniel Gilbert, and it was also released in 2022. And the third book that I want to talk about today is called The Age of Surveillance Capitalism: The Fight for a Digital Future. Now, this book was published last year. So those are 3 of my favorite books that came out last year. Now, the fourth book that I want to talk about today is called The Ministry for the Future. It's edited by Kim Stanley Robinson. No, 5 is going to be a controversial pick, but I still wanted to include it because I think it's important. Number 6 is Superintelligence: Paths, Dangers, Strategies. It's by Nick Bostrom. Now, before we get into 7, I just want to say thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Brilliant. Okay, number 7 is Life 3.0: Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. It's by Max Tegmark. 8 is The Master Algorithm: The Key to Unlocking Artificial Intelligence. It's by Pedro Domingos. 9 is The AI Advantage: How to Put the Odds of Your Company's Survival and Success in the Age of AI. And finally, we have Homo Deus: A Brief History of Tomorrow. It's by Yuval Noah Harari. So those are 9 of my favorite books that have been published since 2015. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.